The first thing I heard after waking up from surgery was my mother-in-law calling me a burden. Not, "How are you feeling?" Not, "Thank God you're okay." Just one cold sentence that changed everything. How much longer is she going to sit around and do nothing? I wasn't supposed to hear it. The hospital room door was slightly open. My eyes were still heavy from anesthesia when I heard Patricia Bennett's voice drifting through the hallway. "Ryan works all day. Now he has to take care of her too. Honestly, she's becoming a burden." My stomach tightened. A burden. 3 hours earlier, surgeons in Dallas had removed part of my damaged intestine after months of painful complications from Crohn's disease. I had nearly died from internal bleeding. And yet the first thing my husband's mother worried about was how inconvenient my recovery would be. Then I heard my husband answer. And somehow that hurt even more. "Mom, not now. Not now. Not don't talk about my wife like that. Not, she almost died. Just not now." I closed my eyes and pretended to still be asleep. A single tear slid down my cheek. At that moment, something inside me cracked. I just didn't know yet how badly. My name is Emily Bennett. I was 37 years old. I lived in Plano, Texas. And until that surgery, I believed my husband loved me. Ryan and I had been married for 12 years. We weren't perfect. No marriages. But we had built a good life together. At least I thought we had. We met at the University of Texas. He was funny, kind, patient, the type of man who always opened doors and remembered birthdays. When our daughter Ava was born, I believed I had the perfect family. But over the years, one person slowly poisoned everything. Patricia, my mother-in-law. She never liked me. Never. According to her, no woman would ever be good enough for her son. At first it was little things. Backhanded compliments, criticism disguised as concern, passive-aggressive comments during holidays. "You look tired, Emily. Maybe you should dress up more." Ryan always liked confident women. I learned to ignore it. For years. But when I got sick, everything changed. Crohn's disease stole pieces of my life, little by little. Hospital visits, medications, pain, exhaustion, days when getting out of bed felt impossible. Patricia treated every symptom like a personal failure. If you exercise more, if you ate healthier, if you stopped feeling sorry for yourself, it never ended. Ryan usually stayed silent, and silence became its own kind of betrayal. 3 weeks after my surgery, I finally came home. I could barely walk without assistance. Every step felt like someone was pulling stitches inside my abdomen. Our daughter, Ava, was waiting at the front door. The second she saw me, she wrapped her arms around me carefully. "Mommy." I kissed her forehead. For the first time in weeks, I felt safe. Then Patricia appeared behind her, smiling. The fake smile she always used. "Welcome home." I already knew she wasn't there to help me. She was there because Ryan had invited her. Apparently, he thought having his mother around would make recovery easier. He couldn't have been more wrong. The criticism started immediately. 2 days later, she watched me struggle to sit down on the couch. Her eyes narrowed. You know, recovery is faster when people actually try. I stared at her. "I am trying." She shrugged. "Just saying." Ava looked uncomfortable. Even my 10-year-old daughter could see it. Ryan was sitting 3 feet away, looking at his phone, saying nothing. Again. That night I confronted him. "Why do you let her talk to me like that?" Ryan sighed. "Emily, she's from a different generation." I laughed bitterly. "Being cruel isn't a generation. You're overreacting." Those 2 words. Overreacting. I heard them so often I started questioning my own reality. Maybe I was sensitive. Maybe I was emotional. Maybe surgery had made me vulnerable. Then things got worse. Much worse. A month after returning home, I discovered Patricia had a key to our house. A key I never approved. I woke up one morning and found her standing in my kitchen. Alone. Going through cabinets. "What are you doing?" She didn't even look embarrassed. "Cleaning." I stared at her. "You enter my house without permission. This is Ryan's house too." The way she said it made my skin crawl. As if I were a guest. As if I didn't belong. That night I demanded Ryan take the key back. He refused. "Mom's trying to help." "No," I said quietly. "She's trying to control everything." His expression hardened. For the first time in years, I saw irritation directed at me. "Not everything is about you, Emily." I felt physically sick, not because of the surgery, because of him. Weeks passed. The tension became unbearable. Patricia criticized how I cooked, how I cleaned, how I parented Ava, how I spent money, how I recovered. Nothing was ever enough. Then one afternoon I accidentally overheard a conversation that changed everything. Patricia was speaking to Ryan in the backyard. The kitchen window was open. Neither knew I could hear them. "She's holding you back." I froze. Patricia continued, "Look at your life. You're exhausted." Ryan didn't answer immediately. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "Sometimes I wonder what things would be like if she wasn't sick." Silence. Then Patricia replied, "You deserve better." I dropped the glass I was holding. It shattered across the floor. Outside, their conversation stopped instantly. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what I had heard. My husband, the man who promised to stand beside me, wondered what life would be like without me. That night he claimed I misunderstood, but I knew what I heard. For the first time in our marriage, I started secretly documenting everything. Comments, messages, incidents, dates, times. I didn't know why. Just a feeling that something bigger was happening, and that someday I might need proof. 3 weeks later, I received an unexpected phone call. A woman introduced herself. "Mrs. Bennett." "Yes. My name is Sarah Collins. I'm an attorney." My heart skipped. "Okay." There was hesitation in her voice. Then she asked a question that changed the direction of my entire life. "Mrs. Bennett, are you aware that your husband and mother-in-law have recently attempted to make changes involving several family financial accounts?" I sat upright instantly. "What accounts?" Silence. Then Sarah said quietly, "I think we need to meet in person." And suddenly I realized my surgery, my marriage, Patricia's behavior. None of it was the real story. Something much bigger was hiding beneath the surface, and I was about to discover exactly what it was. The next morning, I sat across from Sarah Collins in a quiet law office in downtown Dallas. My hands trembled around a cup of coffee. I hadn't slept. Not after that phone call. Not after hearing there were financial matters involving my husband and mother-in-law that I knew nothing about. Sarah opened a folder. "Mrs. Bennett, before I explain anything, I need to ask a few questions." I nodded. "Do you and your husband have joint accounts?" "Yes." "Retirement accounts?" "Yes." "Investment accounts?" "A few." She looked down at her notes. "Have you recently signed any legal documents while recovering from surgery?" My stomach tightened. "I signed hospital paperwork." "Anything else?" I thought for a moment, then remembered. About 2 weeks after coming home, Ryan had brought me several documents. I was exhausted, still taking pain medication. I barely looked at them. He said they were insurance forms. I signed. A cold feeling spread through my chest. Sarah noticed my expression immediately. "What is it?" I signed some papers. Her face grew serious. "What kind of papers?" "I don't know." The room suddenly felt smaller. Sarah slowly turned a document toward me. "Would you recognize your signature?" The moment I saw the page, my heart nearly stopped. It was my signature, without question. But the document wasn't an insurance form. It was related to financial asset transfers. I stared at it, unable to speak. Sarah continued carefully. "Several assets appear to have been moved into trusts controlled by your husband and his mother." "What?" My voice came out barely above a whisper. "What do you mean controlled by them?" Sarah slid another document across the desk. Then another, and another. Each one felt like another punch to the chest. Investment accounts, savings accounts, property interests, funds my late father had left me years earlier. Money specifically intended for me and Ava. My husband had somehow gained access to everything. I felt dizzy. "No." Sarah leaned forward. "Emily, I need you to stay calm. He told me they were insurance forms." Her eyes softened. "I was afraid you'd say that." I couldn't breathe. The office blurred. My father had worked his entire life to build those savings. When he passed away 6 years earlier, he left a portion to me. Not because I needed money, because he wanted Ava protected. Now it appeared that protection had been quietly stolen, and I hadn't even realized it. Sarah waited while I collected myself. Finally, I asked the question that terrified me. "Did Ryan do something illegal?" She chose her words carefully. "Possibly." That single word changed everything. When I returned home, I felt like a stranger walking into my own life. Patricia was sitting at the kitchen table drinking tea. She smiled. I hated that smile now. Where have you been? Out. Her eyes narrowed. She always hated short answers. Good. For the first time in years, I didn't care. That evening, Ryan came home carrying takeout, acting completely normal, as if he hadn't potentially manipulated me into signing away financial assets, as if he hadn't betrayed me, as if our marriage wasn't slowly collapsing. He kissed Ava on the forehead, then looked at me. You okay? I stared at him, really stared, and suddenly I realized something. I didn't know this man anymore. Maybe I hadn't known him for a long time. Fine. His eyes lingered on me. Suspicious. He could sense something had changed. He just didn't know what. Yet, over the next week, Sarah began investigating further. What she found was disturbing. The trust documents had been prepared by an attorney connected to one of Patricia's longtime friends. Several signatures appeared during periods when I was hospitalized or heavily medicated. The timing looked terrible, possibly criminal. Meanwhile, life inside the house became unbearable. Patricia seemed more confident than ever, almost arrogant, as if she believed she had already won. One afternoon, she walked into my bedroom without knocking. I was resting, still recovering physically. She stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. You know Ryan deserves someone stronger. I slowly sat up. What did you just say? Her expression remained calm. Cruel. Calculated. The truth hurts. I stared at her. You've wanted me gone for years. She smiled. Finally. An honest smile. No, Emily. She stepped closer. I simply knew eventually Ryan would realize what I already knew. What? That you're weak. The room went silent. I felt my pulse hammering. Every cruel comment. Every insult. Every humiliation. Years of it. And suddenly I wasn't afraid anymore. I was angry. Get out. Her smile disappeared. What? Get out of my room. For a moment she looked shocked, then furious. Without another word, she left. That night she immediately complained to Ryan. Of course she did. And predictably, he confronted me. Why are you being hostile to my mother? I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound surprised even me. Ryan looked confused. What's funny? You. His face hardened. What is that supposed to mean? I stood slowly. Pain shot through my abdomen. But I ignored it. For 12 years, I've defended you. Ryan stared at me. I've defended your excuses. I took another step forward. I defended your silence. Another step. I defended your mother. His jaw tightened. Emily. No. For the first time in years, I interrupted him. You don't get to talk right now. The room became very still. Even Ava looked up from the living room. Ryan seemed stunned, as if he'd never imagined I might stop accepting everything. Then Patricia walked in. Perfect timing. She looked between us. What's going on? I turned toward her. Years of pain boiling beneath the surface. You are. Silence. Pure silence. Patricia's face flushed instantly. Ryan stepped forward. Enough. I looked directly at him. No. Something changed in his eyes then. Something dangerous. Something angry. For the first time, I realized how much influence Patricia truly had over him. Because he wasn't defending his wife. He was defending her. Always her. 3 days later, another bomb exploded. Sarah called. Emily, I found something. My heart immediately dropped. What? There are additional accounts. What accounts? She hesitated, then said words I will never forget. Accounts you were never supposed to know existed. I froze. Ryan opened them? Yes. My stomach turned. How much money? There was silence. Then Sarah answered, and the number she gave me was enough to make my hands shake. More than $200,000. Hidden. Moved gradually over several years. Money connected to family assets. Money connected to inheritance funds. Money connected to me. I sat there speechless. The betrayal felt endless. Like every answer revealed another lie. Then Sarah said something even worse. Emily. What? I think your mother-in-law may have helped him. My entire body went cold, because suddenly everything made sense. The criticism, the manipulation, the control. Patricia never wanted me to leave because she disliked me. She wanted me gone because I was standing between them and something they wanted. Money. And if Sarah was right, this wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was a conspiracy. And somewhere inside all those hidden accounts and forged paperwork, the real truth was waiting. For several minutes after ending the call with Sarah, I simply sat in my car outside a grocery store parking lot. I couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't process what I had just learned. $200,000, hidden accounts, secret transfers, years of deception, and somehow the people responsible were the two individuals sitting in my house pretending everything was normal. My husband and his mother. The betrayal felt deeper than anything I had ever experienced. Not because of the money, because of the lies, because every hospital visit, every surgery, every painful recovery had happened while Ryan was secretly building another life behind my back. A life I knew nothing about. That evening, I returned home earlier than usual. The house was quiet. Patricia's car was parked outside. Ryan wasn't home yet. I walked inside and heard voices coming from the dining room. Patricia was on the phone. I froze. Something in her tone made me stop. "Don't worry," she said. "Everything is already transferred." My pulse quickened. Transferred. I moved closer. Carefully. Silently. "She has no idea." Patricia laughed softly. The sound made my skin crawl. Ryan handled it perfectly. I felt sick. The conversation continued. I told him years ago that if he wanted security, he needed control. Silence. Then another sentence. One that changed everything. "Once the divorce happens, she'll get almost nothing." My entire body went numb. Divorce. I gripped the hallway wall. The room spun around me. There it was. The truth. Not suspicion. Not fear. Not paranoia. The truth. They had been planning this. For years. My marriage wasn't falling apart accidentally. It was being dismantled intentionally. I quietly stepped back before Patricia noticed me. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock my phone. I immediately called Sarah. She answered on the second ring. "Emily, I just heard something." "What happened?" I told her everything. Every word. Every detail. When I finished, there was silence. Then Sarah said quietly, "We need evidence." That became our mission. Evidence. Not assumptions. Not emotions. Proof. Over the next 2 weeks, Sarah's legal team dug deeper. And what they uncovered was far worse than hidden accounts. There were suspicious property transactions, questionable signatures, unauthorized access to documents, financial movements that seemed deliberately concealed. The deeper they looked, the uglier everything became. Meanwhile, my life inside the house became unbearable. Ryan started acting strangely, guarded, defensive, as if he sensed something. One evening, I walked into our bedroom and found him quickly closing his laptop. He looked startled. Too startled. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Work." His answer came too fast. I nodded slowly. Neither of us believed him. That night I barely slept. At 3 a.m, I heard movement downstairs. I quietly left the bedroom. The house was dark. Then I saw light coming from the kitchen. Ryan and Patricia were sitting together, whispering. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard enough. "Lawyer. Documents. Before she finds out." My stomach dropped. They knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. The next morning Sarah called again. And this time her voice sounded different. Excited. Concerned. Urgent. "Emily, I found something major." I closed my office door at work. "What is it?" "Your father's estate records." My heart stopped. "What about them?" Sarah took a breath. "Your father created a protected inheritance structure." I frowned. "I know." "No, Emily." Her voice sharpened. "I don't think you understand." I sat down. "What are you saying?" "The money wasn't meant only for you." A strange feeling spread through my chest. "Then who?" "Ava." I froze. "My daughter." Sarah continued. "Most of the funds were legally designated for your daughter when she reached adulthood." The room went silent. Then suddenly everything clicked. The secret accounts, the transfers, the manipulation, the pressure, the hidden paperwork. They weren't just stealing from me. They were stealing from Ava, my 10-year-old daughter. I felt physically ill. The betrayal had somehow become even worse. That evening I looked at Ava differently. Not because she had changed, Because I suddenly realized how vulnerable she truly was. She trusted everyone, especially her father, and he was willing to take what belonged to her. For the first time in my life, fear turned into determination. I wasn't fighting for myself anymore. I was fighting for my child. A week later, Sarah arranged a private meeting with a forensic accountant. The findings were devastating. Over several years, money connected to Ava's inheritance had gradually disappeared into accounts controlled by Ryan. Some transfers appeared disguised. Others appeared intentionally hidden. The pattern was clear. Systematic. Deliberate. Possibly criminal. I sat there staring at spreadsheets and transaction records. Every page felt like another knife. Finally, I asked the question haunting me. Can we prove it? The accountant nodded. Yes. I nearly cried. For months I had felt powerless, manipulated, broken. Now, for the first time, the truth had a paper trail. And paper trails don't lie. 3 days later, everything collapsed. Ryan came home furious. Someone had contacted him. Someone connected to Sarah's investigation. The moment he walked through the door, I knew. His face was pale. His hands shaking. What have you been doing? I looked up calmly. What do you mean? Don't play games. Patricia appeared behind him. Watching. Listening. Waiting. Ryan stepped closer. Are you investigating me? The room became silent. Ava was upstairs. Thank God. I slowly stood. Years of fear leaving my body. Maybe I finally started asking questions. His face darkened. For a moment I didn't recognize him. The kind man I married was gone. In his place stood a stranger. You've made a huge mistake. I laughed softly. No. I looked directly at him. I think you did. Patricia suddenly spoke. Her voice cold. You ungrateful woman. I turned toward her. Years of humiliation flashed through my mind. Every insult. Every criticism. Every cruel smile. Every moment she tried to make me feel small. But I wasn't small anymore. And she could see it. For the first time, Patricia looked nervous. Because she realized something. The woman she had spent years controlling was gone. And the woman standing before her wasn't afraid. Then my phone rang. Sarah. I answered immediately. Her voice was urgent. Emily. What happened? We found the final piece. My heart pounded. What final piece? Sarah took a breath, then delivered the words that changed everything. We found the original documents. I froze. What documents? The ones proving who forged the signatures. The room seemed to stop moving. Ryan stared at me. Patricia stared at me. Neither could hear Sarah. But somehow they knew. Something had gone terribly wrong. And for the first time since my surgery, I watched fear appear in both of their eyes. The room was completely silent. Ryan stared at me. Patricia stood frozen beside him. Neither of them knew exactly what Sarah had found. But they knew enough. They knew the truth was getting closer. And they were terrified. I walked upstairs without saying another word. For the first time in months, I felt calm. Not because the pain was gone. Not because the betrayal hurt less. But because the truth finally had evidence behind it. The next morning, Sarah called me into her office. When I arrived, several thick folders sat on the conference table. A forensic accountant was there. Another attorney was there. And for the first time, I realized how serious this had become. Sarah opened a folder. Emily, we found the original estate documents. I sat down, my heart pounding. She slid the papers toward me. My father's signature was there. His instructions were there. Every detail was there. And one sentence stood out immediately. The inheritance was legally protected for both me and Ava. No transfer could be made without my fully informed written consent. No exceptions. No loopholes. No shortcuts. The room became quiet. Then Sarah opened another folder. What you're about to see is important. Inside were copies of the documents Ryan had convinced me to sign after surgery. The signatures looked real. Because they were mine. But attached to them was evidence proving entire pages had been swapped afterward. My signature had been attached to completely different documents. My stomach turned. That's fraud. Sarah nodded. Yes. The accountant leaned forward. And it gets worse. I almost didn't want to ask. What else? He opened a spreadsheet. Years of financial transfers appeared. Account after account. Transaction after transaction. Every movement led to one place. A trust controlled by Ryan. And behind that trust, Patricia. I felt physically sick. My father had spent decades building those assets. Not for Ryan. Not for Patricia. For his daughter and granddaughter. And they had tried to take everything. Sarah's expression became serious. Emily, we're submitting everything. 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 Civil action. Financial fraud investigation. Asset recovery. Protective orders. Every legal option available. For the first time in years, I felt hope. Real hope. 3 weeks later, Ryan received official notice. The reaction was immediate. Panic. Phone calls. Messages. Excuses. For days my phone wouldn't stop ringing. At first, I ignored him. Then he started leaving voicemails. Emily, please call me. Another one. This isn't what it looks like. Another. We can fix this. I deleted every single one. Because finally, after 12 years, I understood something. People who truly love you don't spend years deceiving you. Then came the biggest surprise of all. Patricia turned on Ryan. Completely. The moment lawyers became involved, her loyalty disappeared. Suddenly, everything was his fault. Not hers. His. Sarah showed me transcripts from depositions. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Patricia claimed Ryan handled everything. Ryan claimed Patricia pressured him. Each blamed the other. Each tried to save themselves. Neither cared about the truth. Neither cared about Ava. Neither cared about the family they had destroyed. They only cared about avoiding consequences. The court proceedings lasted months. Long, exhausting months. But slowly the truth emerged. Every hidden account. Every transfer. Every forged document. Every manipulated signature. Every lie. The judge reviewed thousands of pages. Financial experts testified. Forensic specialists testified. Bank representatives testified. And the evidence was overwhelming. One afternoon, while sitting in the courtroom, I watched Ryan realize he had lost. Really lost. Not just the case. Everything. The judge ordered recovery of the improperly transferred assets. The trusts were dismantled. Accounts were frozen. Investigations expanded. Several matters were referred for further review. The consequences were severe and completely deserved. But what happened next hurt Ryan more than any court ruling. Ava stopped trusting him. Not because I told her to. I never did. Because children understand betrayal better than adults think. When she learned the truth in age-appropriate terms, something changed. One evening she asked me quietly, "Did Dad lie to us?" I looked at her. My beautiful daughter. The person I had fought for. The person my father had tried to protect. And I answered honestly, "Yes." She looked down, silent tears filling her eyes. Then she whispered, "Grandpa wanted that money for me." I nodded. She cried for nearly an hour. Not because of the money. Because of the betrayal. The same betrayal I had been carrying for years. Months later, Ryan requested a meeting. Against Sarah's advice, I agreed. Not because I wanted reconciliation. Because I wanted closure. We met at a small coffee shop in Plano. The moment I saw him, I barely recognized him. He looked exhausted. Older. Defeated. The confidence was gone. The arrogance was gone. Even the anger was gone. He sat across from me, silent for a long moment, then finally spoke. "I'm sorry." I didn't answer. Because some apologies arrive years too late. He looked down. I ruined everything. Still I said nothing. He swallowed hard. I thought I was protecting our future. I almost laughed. Protecting? By stealing from his wife and daughter. By manipulating legal documents. By choosing his mother's greed over his family? No. That wasn't protection. That was selfishness. "I loved you," he said quietly. For a moment, sadness washed over me. Because maybe he believed that. Maybe somewhere deep down he did love me. But love without loyalty means nothing. Love without honesty means nothing. Love without respect means nothing. I stood. The conversation was over. Ryan looked up. Tears filled his eyes. "Please." One word. One desperate word. The same man who once ignored my tears was now begging for understanding. I looked at him calmly. Then I gave him the truth he had spent years avoiding. "You didn't lose me when I hired a lawyer." His face fell. "You lost me the moment you chose your mother over your family." Then I walked away. And this time I never looked back. A year later, life looked completely different. Ava was thriving. The recovered assets had been secured exactly as my father intended. I had rebuilt my health, rebuilt my confidence, rebuilt my life. For the first time in years, our home felt peaceful. No criticism, no manipulation, no fear, just peace. Sometimes I still thought about everything that happened. Not with anger, not anymore, with gratitude, because the betrayal revealed the truth, and the truth set me free. One evening, Ava and I visited my father's grave. The Texas sunset painted the sky gold. She placed flowers beside the headstone, then smiled. "I think Grandpa would be proud of you." I looked at the horizon, and for the first time in a very long time I smiled too, because justice hadn't come from revenge. It came from refusing to stay silent. And in the end, the people who tried to take everything from me lost far more than money. They lost the family that once loved them. Ryan chose his mother's greed over his wife and daughter. In the end, he lost them both. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Justice After Tears. Tell us in the comments, what would you have done in her place? Your support helps us bring more emotional stories of justice, karma, and new beginnings. See you in the next story.